Hey everyone, just wanted to do a really quick video here to comment on this current breaking news regarding the firing or resignation of Michael Flynn. Regardless of how you want to look at it, it has the same result. Michael Flynn is gone. Donald Trump has just made his first fairly large mistake. It's a big mistake. And there's two issues here: the firing of Michael Flynn and the issue with leaks. So let's deal with Flynn very quickly. First of all, the FBI has looked at the conversation and they found no wrongdoing, period. It didn't appear to me at this point with the information we have that there's enough information or evidence to have found criminal wrongdoing on part of Michael Flynn. Of course, he had a lot of conversations with a lot of people. Maybe he doesn't remember everything that was discussed, and he says that he didn't. And it appears from what the FBI is saying, he didn't actually discuss removing sanctions or anything like that with Russia. The Russians asked the question about the sanctions, and apparently Flynn said, yeah, well, the president, has different ideas on that. And I think they were referring to the sanctions that were placed on Russia as a punishment for them being involved in our elections, which the Russians deny, and which the Trump administration and most in his administration and many others really don't believe. Okay, but the big mistake that Trump made, and I understand, that he's saying, well, there's distrust because maybe he didn't tell Trump the truth about something, but I really don't know. None of us really know. But I do know this about how politics works in Washington. And Donald Trump is going to get a very, very good lesson in this. And that is that, especially in the hostile environment he is in, the Democrats desperately, and the establishment in general, which includes too many Republicans, want to take down Donald Trump. They're grasping for anything and everything. And he has just given them a gift. A very, very big gift. But more importantly, he has signaled that, yeah, if you bring enough pressure, I'll cave, and I'll compromise my my principles, if in fact that is a principle of Donald Trump, which is to stand by your people, and they stand by you. You really have to have a circle the wagons mentality when you're the president inside the Oval Office, and we've seen this for many presidential administrations. It's a very, very dangerous place. It's easy to get tripped up. It's especially when you have so many forces working against you. In my opinion, Donald Trump should have sat down with Pence, and he should have sat down with Flynn in a private meeting. He should have worked all that out and found out exactly what happened, and they should have circled the wagons right there, and not let anything go beyond that. And at that point, Donald Trump should have come out and stood by Flynn, as well as everyone in his administration, and Republicans should have come out and stood by Flynn. There is no evidence that Flynn was involved in anything that was criminal, or that he did anything really wrong regarding the Russia situation. It has more to do with the fact that we're being told that it was a trust issue between Trump and Flynn. And I think it was probably more of a miscommunication or misunderstanding or something like that. I really don't think that Flynn openly lied or anything like that. I think it's more of a misunderstanding. But once you let the media get involved in this type of stuff and they start tearing away at it, they can make a mountain out of a molehill. The thing you have to do is you have to circle the wagons, and you have to go on defense. You've got to hold the line. You cannot, because when you do this, it's like blood in the water for the sharks. And now, because look, regardless of whether he let go of Flynn or stayed with Flynn, the problem was not going to go away. I mean, if getting rid of Flynn, if letting Flynn go would have shut all this down, and then we move forward and it's in the past or something like that, maybe you could make the argument. But the Democrats and the establishment and too many Republicans are not going to let this go. even if you let Flynn go. In fact, now you're even worse off because you've essentially admitted that there is some wrongdoing or some crime or something that was done that shouldn't have been done. Now they're going to call for more investigations, bigger investigations, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to impeach or get rid of Trump based on the fact that he and those around him and his cabinet have some sort of a sinister plan working with the Russians to rig the elections, to create some sort of a new alliance, or I don't know what exactly they think the end game is to all this, but certainly Trump has stated that he thinks we'd be better off being friends with Russia than enemies and working together instead of fighting each other. And I think a lot of people agree with that. But that's where all this has led. But the fact of the matter is, this was a big mistake. And it's going to take a while. He will recover from it because, again, there's really not much can be done. I don't expect there'll be an impeachment or anything like that. But the only thing it is it throws a huge wrench into the spokes. It slows down anything Trump's trying to do. It makes it look like there's chaos within the administration. You just open up a lot of doors that don't need to be open when you do this. In my mind, this is a big mistake. Trump should have got behind Flynn. He should have stuck with him, as well as everyone in the administration, and they should have fought hard and moved forward. Change the subject. Do something else. But the last thing that I think Trump should have done was to cave in and let Flynn go. I think it's going to cause him a lot more heartburn this way than if he would have hung on to Flynn. If he'd hung on to Flynn, maybe they get another couple, 2 or 3 days out of it in the news cycle, and something else comes up and it gets bumped to the back page and forgotten about. But once you let a member of your cabinet go, now you've given the story all new life, new legs. It'll drag on now for weeks and weeks and weeks. It'll probably end up being hearings and investigations and all sorts of things. Bad move. I love Donald Trump, but man, I think that was a big mistake, and I think he's going to learn from it. He's going to pay a very heavy price for it. Another thing on Kellyanne, I love Kellyanne Conway. She did a great job during the campaign, but one of two things needs to happen. Either she needs to be brought into the inner circle and informed about what's going on, or she needs to just go do something else. You can't have her out there on TV commenting all the time as a spokesperson when she's out of the loop, because then you're going to have inconsistencies in statements, and you're starting to see this. And Kellyanne's good, but nobody is that good. And so that's another thing. They have to get control of their message, and they have to get up to speed quickly. And we all realize that Trump's new at this, and he doesn't quite understand how nasty things are when you're the president, and how people will go after you. And I think he's learning very quickly, but he's gonna pay a very high price, and he's going to absorb some serious pain as a result of this learning exercise with firing Flynn. And finally, the leaks. Donald Trump said you got to drain the swamp. He's right. The problem is, when you talk about draining the swamp, you look at the State Department. There's over 3,000 people in the State Department. That's just the people in the State Department, not to mention all those other heavy players, influential people who are not part of the State Department, but are in fact people who work with the State Department, powerful private interest individuals who have sway and influence, including former heads of those agencies, especially the State Department. You have the intelligence community. God only knows how big the intelligence community is. It's probably tens of thousands of actual employees, not to mention probably 10 times that number of assets, people who don't actually work for the agency but work with the agencies. You have this huge, massive bureaucracy, and you can't come in and fire 20, 30, 40,000 people and replace them all. It's a process that you try to do, as all presidents do, over your 1 or 2 terms as being president, but you can't come in and immediately drain the swamp of the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. So there's still a lot of people in the agencies, bureaucracies that despise Trump, who are put there by Obama, and many of those people are still in those agencies, and they are actively working against Trump. So he can't drain the swamp quick enough. And it's, again, I mean, when you talk about draining the swamp, it'd be nice if you could come in one day and completely boot, tens of thousands of people who are going to be out to get him. But you can't do that. It's a process you got to go through, and he's going to have to suffer through that. But the leaks, they have certainly got to find out who is responsible for these leaks. And I think what Trump needs to do is they need to find out who is responsible for these leaks. I mean, really get after it. I mean, put a major amount of pressure on to find out who actually did this leaking, and then prosecute their ass to the full extent of the law. I mean, really, really make them pay. Have no mercy on them. At least ways you send a message to many of those other people. See, a lot of these people in the State Department know that they're going to be drained out of the swamp. So they know they're going. So on their way out the door, before they get sent packing, they're going to do as much damage as they can. And this is something that should be understood by the Trump administration. They don't have any friends. Trump better find the 2, 3, 4 people he really trusts. He better surround himself with them, and he better understand that all of his communications, as well as that of his family, his friends, everyone in his administration, all their calls are being monitored. All of their emails are being monitored, captured, and all this stuff can and will be shared via leaks. So Trump and his inner circle are going to have to really get up to speed quickly, and they're going to have to understand exactly how serious things are and how badly so many people want that administration to fail. And it's going to be tough hoeing for the next few weeks and months, especially because he's just now sent a message that if you bring enough pressure, he will roll over and cough up a scapegoat. And again, I wasn't a huge fan of Flynn. I'm kind of 50-50 on him, kind of lukewarm. Some of Flynn I like, some of Flynn I don't like. But giving him up, bad move. It's going to come back and bite him in the ass. And I think he'll learn from it. But unfortunately, it's going to be painful. So we'll just keep following the story. Y'all have a good day. Bye.